Morning. So this is the main entrance into the Chatsworth Estate, and as it says there, it is the Cannon Kissing Gate. It's an interesting type of style. I don't know of any other one like that I can think of. Right, anyway, we are in the Chatsworth Estate, as this board tells us. The Derwent Valley Heritage Way runs straight through the Chatsworth Estate, which is good because it was the Duke of Devonshire in 2003 that opened the footpath, or the trail. So we're going to continue on this footpath all the way through Chatsworth Estate. Morning, this is day 2 of the Derwent Valley Heritage Way. Now last night I planned to stay on Baslow Edge. Morning. Thought that was the Duke then. It's not. I've met him before. Long story. So last night I planned to stay at Baslow Edge near Eagle Stone. But when thinking onto it, I thought, well, Chatsworth Estate has got big woodland. Now, I know there's rangers and people that are always securing this place throughout the night and everything else. For a sponsored walk I did a long time ago, it was around the estate throughout the night, so I know how secure it is. I realised that at the top end there's woodland, so I waited till dusk. Well, it was dark, and that's why you didn't see me pitch my tent last night. Well, basically I wanted to be as incognito as possible, in disguise. And then I think it was about 5:15 I woke up, and then I just needed to shifty on. So we haven't really done much this morning. It is about 8 o'clock now, 8 a.m. and as I say, we're walking through Chatsworth Estate now. What I'm aiming to do is towards the opposite side of the estate. I think we'll stop and make a brew, have a bit of breakfast, and then carry on. And so yesterday I think I've walked 14 miles of the route. Now when I ever do a long distance trail, I always do the first day a shorter route, because so I break myself into it. Doesn't matter how many walks you do, I always found the first one is always the toughest day, so I break myself into it. So today we are aiming to do about 18-19 miles, and the plan is to walk towards somewhere between Ambergate and Belper, which would give me, I think, about 17 miles to do on the last day, which is tomorrow. So in front we have Chatsworth House, and if we swing around to the left, behind the trees is the stables, and then if we move up across a bit further, we can just make out the hunting lodge on the top of the hill. You can stay there if you want. It's a holiday retreat, part of the Devonshire estate. I think it's run by an external company, but Prince William's once stayed here. The Duke of Devonshire is Prince William's uncle, the first cousin to the Queen. Devonshire and the Cavendish family have had a big history, obviously in Derbyshire itself. This place here is where the see where I was talking about security earlier. Here comes a security vehicle just patrolling the area, so it wasn't a good place to probably park up last night, but we did it discreetly. Anyway, in front of us is an exercise yard for Queen Mary of Scots while she was, well, not imprisoned here, she was on open arrest by Queen Elizabeth I when Bess of Hardwick lived here with William Cavendish, when they built the Chatsworth House. I'll talk a bit more about Chatsworth as we wander through the park.
Chatsworth's story began in the 16th century, where Sir William Cavendish and Elizabeth Hardwicke, known as Bess, purchased the land, an old manor house, in 1549 for the princely sum of £600. The old manor was knocked down and replaced with a grander property in 1552. Sir William was made the first Earl of Devonshire by King James I. Sir William became a wealthy man by becoming one of Thomas Cromwell's visitors of the monasteries during the dissolution of monasteries between 1536 and 1541. Sir William passed away in 1557. Bess continued to live at Chatsworth and remarried twice. Her last marriage was to George Talbot, Earl of Shrewsbury. The Earl and Duchess were appointed custodians of Queen Mary of Scots while under house arrest from 1569 to 1584. During the English Civil War, which began in 1642, the 3rd Earl of Devonshire fled the country and only returned after the Civil War finished. By then, the house had needed serious repairs. The 4th Earl repaired and extended the house until 1707.
See in the gardens the cascade.
The 6th Earl added a north wing for the arrival of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert's visit in 1832 to the house we see today. During World War II, the house was used as a girls' boarding school. After the 10th Earl's death duties had to be paid, which came to 80% of the wealth of the family. Chatsworth in 1981 was set up as a Chatsworth House Trust by the 11th Duke in a way to preserve the estate for future generations. And today the current 12th Duke, Peregrine, and the Duchess of Devonshire live in the property.
I think it's brew time. This is the old mill. There's a bench with my name on for a brew. The old mill wheel. Within the war, it says S. Gregory, 1797. So we're heading down this road. It'll take us to Carlton Lees, which will take us towards Rowsley. Carlton Lees. Looks like they're having some dad time. Calf with the ball. Mum's having a bit of shoe time. And hopefully Ball ain't gonna have words with me. He's a hefty chap. So we're going to head across these fields and we're heading towards Rowsley now. Now this is, I wouldn't say it's just a floodplain, but it does get swampy in the winter months. At the moment it's nice and dry. It's funny, although we're walking along the River Derwent and it is called the Derwent Valley Heritage Way, when you walk away from it and you join up with it again, you do miss it, and it's glad to see it again. Alright, we're heading towards Rowsley. We'll probably be there in the next, well, few moments for you. It's 10 minutes for me. So here's my face I thought I'd give you my daily update of looking at my face, as you don't see it very often on this walk. But on the other hand, you're seeing the countryside, and isn't that a better thing than my own face? You can't see much of the countryside by looking at me and just trying to see what's behind me. Once we get to Rowsley, we'll hit the road, and then we'll follow into Darley Dale, and that will continue to Matlock after we've passed Darley Bridge. So hopefully you're enjoying this one. I am. It's probably the best walks I've done so far. I've travelled all over the country doing all these long distance walks, and this is probably the most local one to me. It's taken me a long time to get round to doing it. So with that, let's carry on, and we'll head into Rowsley and then Rowsley Station next. This farm on my right, I've walked past it a few times. Funny enough, it seems to be always about the same time. I did actually see a calf being born here about 10 years ago. You can see in the barn there are some newborn calves, so just missed it this year.
Originally called Rowsley Manor, Peacock dates from 1652. It was built for the steward of nearby Haddon Hall. It then became a dower house for the Manners family before becoming a hotel in 1832. Caldwell's Mill is a Grade 2 listed historical roller flour mill. The mill has stood on the site for over 400 years, powered by water from the River Wye. The present mill was built in 1874 by John Caldwell and has run as a family business for the last 104 years. It is spread over 4 floors, and most of the machinery is pre-1914. Yet still driven by a system of belts and pulleys from line shafts. It is powered by 2 water turbines, one to drive the mill and the other generating electricity. The mill shop sells a range of freshly milled high quality flours.
Now, I always think when I'm walking along the paths and you come across something like this and you wonder, what was it made for? There's a more of a story to that, but what is it? And brickwork all along here, and then a half semicircle of brickwork there. Interesting to know what it may have been for. Answers on the postcard as we continue along the Derwent. Now we've actually moved out of the main part of the Peak District now. We are in the White Peak. We've gone from the Dark Peak. I think actually when we got to Chatsworth, we came out of the Dark Peak area. Once we get to Matlock, we're out of the Peak District. But we obviously continuing along the Derwent.
The Midland Railway route linking Derby and Manchester across Derbyshire's Peak District, carved through great limestone hills, has been described as the most scenic line in Britain. The first section of the route between Derby and Ambergate was opened to traffic in 1840. The Ambergate to Rowsley section opened in 1849. Before this date, the Midland Railway had already constructed a line from Rowsley to Manchester, but the 6th Duke of Devonshire didn't want a rail line cutting through his Chatsworth Estate on the surface, as the Duke did not want to see smoke and steam rising above his stately gardens. So the company was forced to go underground. Haddon Tunnel, at 1,058 yards, is the longest between Matlock and Buxton. From Buxton, the line deviates to Manchester by Millersdale Junction. Here, the smallest station in Britain was sited as Blackwell Mill Halt. In 1962 came the publication of Reshaping of Britain's Railways, more commonly called the Beeching Report, and by 1967 the line had been closed. Peak Rail are looking to reopen the railway through the Peak District National Park to Buxton.
We are just heading into Churchtown near Darley Bridge, and we shall see the Darley U soon, which is within the churchyard grounds. That's a big clock for a small church tower.
This is the Church of St Helens with Darley Dale. The church has elements of architecture from the Norman to the Gothic periods. This is the famous yew tree, one of the oldest trees in the country, believed to be over 2,000 years old. The tree's width is a staggering 10 metres wide.
An interesting gravestone. I can't make it out. It looks like it's been used more than once, as in it's been carved and then there's lettering being put up on the top.
An Act of Parliament was passed in 1666 to boost the depressed English woolen trade. It ordered that no one to be buried in anything other than woolen material. The notes to this are seen in the church's burial register. The only exception to this is those that have died of the plague. The table tomb dates back to the mid-18th century. Carvings represent weavers' frames of an exiled Protestant. Within the church grounds, a grave of Sir Joseph Whitworth, 1st Baronet, lies. Sir Joseph was an English engineer. He devised the British standard Whitworth system, or better known as the thread of the standard screw. He is also known for creating the Whitworth rifle, often called the sharpshooter because of its accuracy, and considered to be one of the earliest examples of a sniper rifle.
As we pass the square and compass, we come to Darley Bridge. Is that a stone circle for one? We are near Ochre, not Oaky. I was in Oaky Pokey and Oaky Cokey. We're in Ochre. And we're about 2 miles before we are in Matlock. It gets a bit busier. We are at one of those interesting gates. What I mean by that? It's got a latch. There is no way that latch is going to meet that. For one, it's bent, but that and that is a mile apart. Hello, little lamb. Larry the lamb? No, you're 54 lamb. Lamb 54. Funny place to put a bus stop. And here we are in Matlock. So we've just entered Hawley's Park. It's a Victorian park. It's quite a big park at that. At Christmas time they do a Victorian market with a load of artisans. I was one of the artisans a few years ago here. So we're about to come to the high point of the trail, which is High Tor. See the white rock faces as we head into Matlock and Matlock Bath. And High Tor where we're aiming to now. So this is the old lead smelting mine. You can just see at the base is a platform, and I'm guessing the shaft would be underneath that. So there'll be a hole in there where the dirt is now, and there'll be a building at the top, and then there'll be a rope pulley system that would lower and higher the cradle down into the mine. If you think back to the 17 and 1800s, this area would have been a hive of activity with mining and the waterworks and the cotton trades. This is the time when we go up to High Tor. Peak Tor is that one. High Tor is up there, and that's the one we're going to, High Tor. So to our right we have the old quarry. Then looking across, we look down at the road, as the buildings go around the corner, that's called Artist Corner. Now behind us, we get a clear look at River Castle. Now, I'm not sure, I presume it's apartments now. Did mention it was going to be a spa a few years ago, but I think they've left it as a apartments. But it was like a petting zoo years ago. And if I remember right, they did have a giraffe. Not that I saw it myself, but I do believe they had a giraffe within their zoo. So you can see Artist Corner just down there. And we'll see Artist Corner from a different angle once we go up on High Tor. We see the market town of Matlock in its glory, or nestling up on the hilltop with the spa building in the middle. A large building that we can see. Damn you, false summits! I thought we were at the top now. No, nowhere near actually. I don't know if you can see that up in front. It jumps up a lot more than I don't think I'm even halfway yet. I have walked up High Tor before, but actually this is the route I came down. Went up from the opposite direction. But then if it's called High Tor, it must be High Tor for a reason. I do believe there was a mine just around here. You can see the mast. We are near enough at the summit. And one of the mines was down here. And obviously with the fence we can't go much further. You can just see down in the base, the entrance to the mine. And further mining was down there. I can't even see the bottom of that one. We can see the cable cars, which is part of the Heights of Abraham, with the tower on that side. You can see we're a bit high up above them houses and about 4 feet from the edge, and that's as close as I'm getting. I can't see over the edge and I don't want to. So you've got two choices. You can either go this way or that way. This way is slightly away from the cliff edge. And if there's anything it's going to be, well, I think it looks like there was a fence here at one time, but someone's decided to take it down. What a bright idea that was. But if there is any such thing as a trig point, this has got to be the highest point. So this bit of iron girder here is my trig point. So touch the trig point as we look down towards Matlock Bath. So we're heading down now. It is a bit of a zigzag path on the way down because it's quite steep, so you're not going to go straight down. Well, that would be quite good for sledging. Like these steps a bit high. Unfortunately I'm 6'2", so I've got reasonable long legs. You're a 5 foot or child, you can struggle climbing these steps or you can go down them. Nothing there. It's funny, I went on a date and we came up this hill. Well, I came up this hill. It was on a dating app called Outdoor Duo. So it's people that were into the outdoors. And I thought, perfect opportunity for me to meet somebody who's into the outdoors. So I met this lady. Her profile was not much there. She put a picture up of this blonde lady that looked quite active. We kept chatting and then she was telling me she was an outdoor leader. So I thought, oh, right, okay, perfect, like myself. So with that, we met up and I said, we'll go for a walk as both into the outdoors in Matlock Bath, funny enough. She totally didn't look like the picture. In fact, it wasn't her at all. It was actually her sister. She thought it'd be a good idea to put a picture of her sister rather than a picture of her. And she looked nothing like her sister. She was quite large build and red hair. But anyway, I decided to still come on a walk. I thought I'll enjoy the day anyway because we're coming on a walk and I love walking. So we met at Matlock Bath, where we are now, and we started walking up High Tor from this path that I'm walking down now. And along the way, she just kept stopping. And she was puffing and panting. I just said to her, do you mind if I walk to the top of the hill and I'll just wait for you at the top, because keep stopping and starting, it hurts my knees. It might be your style of how you do it and just keep stopping and starting. I mean, she was stopping and starting every probably 30 metres. This isn't a high mountain to climb. It's not even a mountain, it's a tor, it's not even a hill. I got to the top, sat there for about 15 minutes and thought, where is she? Anyway, an elderly couple came up the hill, and when they were in their 70s, and they got to the top, and they didn't look like they were puffing and panting, and I asked them, did they see a lady in a purple coat? And they said, yes, we saw her near the bottom, sitting on the bench, puffing and panting. And I think that's the point where I left her. So I went down the bottom of the hill just to see that she was okay, and she'd gone. And so I thought she took a different route up the hill, so I thought, right, best run back up the hill, see if we can find her. No, she wasn't here. I went back down, and then I realised where we met, her car had gone. Anyway, she ran off. She wasn't as fit as she seemed to make out she was. I presume she wasn't even a mountain leader. But I didn't hear anything from her for weeks. And all of a sudden, I got a message saying that I was some sort of psycho for leading somebody up a hill. She was blocking me, getting me banned and blocked from this dating app, which I ended up being blocked from the app. On this walk, with her, only walked about less than half a mile, and she gave up. And that means I'm a psycho. Funniest folk. Yeah, okay, I'm not a psycho, but I'm probably a bit mad. Every time I get any holiday time from work, all I'm doing is planning how many miles I can walk. So you can see the cable cars there. And then obviously not in the light now because we're a little bit lower, and where that point is there is the top at Heights of Abraham.
Matlock Bath was created in 1787 as a public pleasure ground, as in 1698 warm springs were discovered in the area, and for its spectacular scenery along the River Derwent. With High Tor, Lovers Walk, Derwent Gardens and caves, it became a popular place to visit. By the early 1800s, it extended as a spa town, and as a notable summer resort, visitors like poet Lord Byron compared Matlock to Switzerland. The Heights of Abraham were created in 1786 by the Simpson family, named for its resemblance to the Heights of Abraham in Quebec, Canada. In 1832, Princess Victoria visited the town, increasing its popularity as a Victorian resort fit for royalty. Princess Victoria went on to become Queen Victoria in 1837, and again visited Matlock while staying with the Duke of Devonshire at Chatsworth. In the autumn, a festival called Venetian Nights is held when Matlock Bath is illuminated from end to end.
I'm not sure what this is. It looks like a bowling green, but it's not flat. It's on a hill.
This is Sir Richard Arkwright's Masson Mill. It is a water-powered cotton spinning mill built in 1783. In 1769, Arkwright patented the water frame to use the extra power of a water mill. The first mill was Cromford Mill in 1771. Masson Mill was the third mill for Sir Richard Arkwright and was built close by to take advantage of the greater water flow from the River Derwent.
We take a left here, continue on the path. In a moment, we'll be able to see Roussly Castle on our right hand side. Scarfing Rock.
Roussly Castle was built for Sir Richard Arkwright to be his house of residence. In 1791, just before the castle was complete, a fire occurred, damaging the interior of the property. Repairs took time, and then the result of this, Sir Richard Arkwright passed away in 1792. Before the castle was completed, his son Richard Arkwright Jr. moved into the castle with his family. The Arkwright family continued to live at the castle until the start of World War I, where their property was converted into a maternity hospital. In 1927, Richard Arkwright sold the property to Sir Albert Ball, who then sold it on to Methodist businessmen, where it was converted into a Methodist Guild holiday centre and continued to be run as a Christian Guild hotel until 2020, where it closed down due to the COVID lockdown, which is now up for sale.
I'm not really sure what this is. Is it some sort of medieval weaponry? Or was it something from the Flintstones? So this is St Mary's Church, originally built for the Arkwright family as their private chapel. But after Sir Richard Arkwright passed away and his son moved into Willesey Castle, then they gave it to the community being the mill workers of Cromford.
Cromford Mill was built in 1771 for Sir Richard Arkwright. It is the world's first water-powered cotton spinning mill. In 1769, Richard Arkwright patented a water frame to use the extra power of a water mill after he had set up a horse-powered mill in Nottingham. He chose the site of Cromford because it had year-round supply of warm water from the Cromford Sow, which drained water from nearby Worksworth lead mines. Together with Bonsall Brook, here he built a 5-storey mill with the backing of Jedediah Strutt. He started with 200 workers, more than the locals could provide, so he built housing for the workers and their families at nearby Cromford. Richard was one of the first manufacturers to do so. Cromford started to thrive with a marketplace, pub and a school, all built by Arkwright. Cromford Mill and other mills in the area, built by Arkwright and Strutt, became a UNESCO World Heritage Site for its development in the Industrial Revolution.
This canal was built in 1796 by Benjamin Outlet and William Jessup. So where we are now, there is a quarry works that's still in operation, although I believe they just process the stone here, not actually quarry it. So due to that, the limestone particles and slate for the local area means that the water is usually clearer, where silt that's gone in from the quarry ends up in the canal, which makes the water a lot clearer to see. And with that, we can see that the water is only probably 2 to 3 feet deep. Well, you could probably go in your wellies down this canal at the moment, how shallow it is. The High Peak Junction Workshops has been here for around 200 to 250 years. Now in front we can see that the bridge that connects to the High Peak Junction Workshops is a swing bridge, meaning that it will swing across so narrowboats can continue down the canal. an early aqueduct along the canal as the rail line, which is the number 17, the Leeward Tunnel. So the tunnel exits, then the rail line goes underneath the aqueduct and continues along that way towards Whatstandwell, which is where we're heading, but via the canal. So Cricht's Tower on top of Cricht's Cliff, overlooking the Amber Valley from one side and the Derwent Valley from the other. But currently we're in the Derwent Valley. We will be passing the Amber Valley soon. So we're just about to reach the tunnel. This being the shorter one, the other one being at the Butterley. What used to be a boats only tunnel, but not now, not anybody's tunnel. It used to be that people would walk the canal boats, narrow boats down this tunnel, and the pack horses would go over the top and meet up with the barges the opposite side. And I think this is 76 metres long. So the path to my left is where the pack horses would have come down. Obviously they wouldn't have been able to fit inside the tunnel as it's a bit low for them. They would have gone over the hill, come down this way and rejoined the canal. So if anybody's looking to do a bit of a DIY project, I've got a shed just for you. Needs a little work. Overlooks the River Derwent and alongside the Cromford Canal. So picturesque location, although a little bit of work needed. Ordnance Survey trig point. So just right of that tree, above the stone, as you can see, there's a rabbit. Now we're probably about a mile from Whatstandwell now. We will continue along the canal, but how's this for a picturesque place? I do believe it's a bed and breakfast now. I'm not sure about the main house or just the little building at the back. I'm surprised today, there's usually like a border collie barking. Well, I don't know what he's barking at most of the time. There's something about where we're walking at the moment. You can have the Alps and the lake, but walking along this canal, I've walked along a few canals over the years. There's just something along this canal. I don't know if it's the history, the bird calling, or what it is, but you can't beat it. So this is Sims Wharf. We've got some old ruins along there. And then there's the footbridge. If you were heading up to Cricht and Cricht's Cliff, and then we'll continue along the canal path. So we're just arriving at Whatstandwell. I'll go through the little hamlet via the canal, and then we'll continue to Ambergate. The canal, the rail, and then the road, all connected together as we head towards Ambergate along the Cromford towpath. Hello. Well, I take what's in front of me as a bit of a junkyard, because I'm not sure if you can see this. It looks like a torpedo is just sitting there, and then it looks like behind that is a nose cone to an aircraft. Well, I definitely didn't expect to see this door here. A UPVC door in the middle of probably an 18th century wall. We'll take a right here. Have that in the bottom of your garden. And across the Derwent once again. This time we're going to head along this side until we get to Belper. We will cross once again.